Hello there, everybody. It is Duff Designs doing another course showcase. Today we are looking at Claire's Boys course called No Exit. Uh, Kind of a peculiar name for a golf course. We'll see if it has some meaning as we get into the course. We do have a mega course here. Looks like we have a wild tee box from the back at 8,200 yards, almost a full 1,000 yards ahead of the tee box ahead of it. I do like courses like this that have a very wide spread on their distances. Firm, fast. We'll see how that plays. Go ahead and go into course details in here from area. Let me go up here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and do the gold just because I accidentally did the blue or the white on another course. I should have did the blues the other day, so we'll make up for it. Let's see, do we have 4 pins? We have 4 pins. And let's go ahead and get right down into there. Now this course looks a lot nicer than what the name entails, at least from just the thumbnail. We'll see how the actual full course is, though. Alrighty here. Get up into the air. Looks like we definitely have a very interesting course. Even has its own little driving range over here. That's a cute way to do a driving range. I haven't seen that before, but that's cool. Clubhouse. Not really much going on here. Seems pretty basic. I'd watch a video on custom clubhouses. If you really want to make your course pop that little bit extra, custom clubhouses are a way to do it. Because you can create some really cool stuff to have right in the middle of your course. It's just eye-opening. In terms of the rest of the course, it looks really good, actually. Just taking a basic view at everything. We'll see how the holes actually play, but I mean, in terms of everything else, it looks good. Looks very much like something I would do a year or two ago, in terms of just not a lot of decoration, just build the course, which I haven't really changed until the past year or so with decoration, so. But yeah, we'll see how all of this plays. It definitely looks like he put some work into it. Alright, coming down to the first tee. First thing I saw immediately, this just isn't smooth enough. It needs to be smoother. There are ways that you can do slopes to make them really smooth. I did a video on it. I think it was just my slopes. I think it was just a video called Slopes. If you would watch that, that would help you out with this right here a lot, and you could make these smooth instead of having these nasty little transitions all over. Let's get down here to the holes. Nice little first, just design wise, I don't really like having a big hill like this. Also design wise, I would like to see these two bunkers be visible from the tee. I understand they are depressed in a little spot, but I would like to see them visible. We'll see if that continues, but usually you want to have most of your bunkers in the course, because you don't want to always have every single bunker be visible. You want to have some little tricksters every now and again, kind of hiding off in little areas. I do very much like the smoothness of everything out here. How smooth it kind of flows along with these little bunkers kind of scattered in. Almost like Tic Tacs. They look like little Tic Tacs scattered around. This green is a half punch bowl. Don't know how I feel about a punch bowl coming around this way. It's just really hard to actually get too much use out of it unless you're hitting a massive fade into here. But overall, not a bad green at all. You've got your big green flat area. I can tell you've got a little break right here to break balls down into here, or break balls over to here. Now, I'm not a big stickler about it, but I know people say in a realistic sense you don't want low areas on greens, but it's even in a realistic sense, I've seen plenty of courses with low areas on greens. They try not to do it, but it does happen. Sometimes The hole just calls for it. That was awful. The one thing I will say about having bunkers that small is, while they may look pretty good, I think the chances of people getting in them isn't near as high as other bunker styles. I mean, they are kind of in depressions and do kind of have every slope kind of going towards them, but even when slopes are heading towards bunkers and heavy rough, a lot of times it won't catch all of that slope. It won't like have the ball moving fast enough. And it'll usually get caught up in the grass instead of going down to the bunker, kind of like how you want it to. Yeah, nice little first hole. I don't mind it. I wish a couple more of the bunkers are visual. Just a couple more. Do like this big little sweep right here. Fairway edges do need to be cleaned up a little bit. You see how they're kind of jagged on all sides. It's just something coming in with the spline tool and making longer clicks will help you kind of get rid of some of those. If you do really, really rapid clicks or a lot of them, it'll create these weird little like flows in here. Again, we've got another little raised side of the hole up against the cart path. Not really something I like, but you can get away with it. It's a little dark on this course, I will say. A little darker than some of the other ones. Again, we got another slight punch bowl. I mean, beautiful bunkers, but the one thing I will say, if you get in one of those bunkers, you have barely any chance of, I think, getting your ball close to whatever pin. You'd have to hit an insane shot. I do like your greens, though. I mean, this is kind of how you want your greens. You want a little bit of movement in some areas, in designated pin areas, and having these kind of feed them in or away from those areas. Yeah, this green's nice. It is, the one thing I will say is maybe put a little bit of a backstop right here so that if you are over here and you're putting over, I feel like any putt coming over this hill is probably going to carry off the green. But I think that's my only pet peeve, and that's just a tiny little thing on the screen. Otherwise, this is basically a perfect green. There's not really much to complain about. We're on the green with that one. Tee box also seem very clean, very square. Got the square style. Not bad. Not. I don't know. I've never seen a green kind of like this. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just if you miss anywhere to the left, you're dead. You're not making par. Or at least you're probably not. Same thing with missing right. I feel like you miss right, you're not making par either. This is something that I've been starting to do recently that I think looks better than what's here. You see how you've got your fairway moving into your fringe all smooth like this. This is how I used to do fringes, and I was talking about it in one of my other videos. The way I've started doing fringes now, and I think it looks a lot better, is instead of having fringe, you just completely get rid of the fringe right here, and you select a secondary surface of fairway. So it'll give you that fringe look, but instead of it being an actual different texture, it's fairway. So this fairway line will connect up to this secondary surface line very well and make this line look even smoother. Like, it already looks really good, but even still you can tell that it's a different texture. It just kind of looks a little different. If you use, instead of fringe, secondary surface of fairway, I think it looks even better. Alright, enough talking. See if we can smack it on down there. Nice little draw. Honestly, I don't hate this hole. I like it. Good hole. Not the biggest fan of the green, but I completely understand what you're going for here. I don't know, I just like greens with a lot of character to it, but I do feel like this is a lot of character, though. It's just one big character. Yeah, this is nice. I mean, I do feel like the fairways, a couple of them have been a little too thin, but I don't know. Maybe it's really not. I don't know, I feel like these are kind of string bean fairways, but if you want a tough course with thin fairways, not bad. I do think this front tee needs to be a little lower so I can actually see the fairway. So I can't really see the fairway from this tee. Damn, it feels like my ball should be going further there, but I guess it is a par 5. This is, I will say, for this being a par 5, it is a little bland. It feels like a par 4. Although it is really long, it just kind of feels par 4-y. It doesn't really feel like there's... I mean, you got this one bunker here kind of separating these two fairways, but that's really it in terms of thought on the layup shot. And the drive is just hit it down the straight piece of fairway. Like, needs to be a little bit more... I mean, even the green complex itself, like, you've got a green fairway and basically nothing else anywhere around here. And I guess, yeah, I guess that's just your heavy rough line. That just kind of looks a little weird. Just being a straight line like that, I feel like kind of needs a fence or something almost. Just feels a little weird looking at it. Not bad though. Nothing here's bad. It's just a little bit extra stuff to kind of make it pizzazz, you know. I like this green. I like this hole. I just think there needs to be a little bit extra on here. When you've done the sculpting, the fairways, the bunkers, you've done everything nice. I just feel like it's just a little empty. I mean, look at this landscape here. It's just a little empty. It just needs something more out here, I feel like. Let's see what's up by this green. We got one bunker by the green and a bunch of slopes. Bunkering is really... I like the bunkering, but at the same time I don't like the bunkering. I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent about it. Definitely like the bowls, the bowl idea with all of them. Makes them look very interesting. Almost underpowered that too much. Again with the, you can see how bumpy this looks. I'm kind of curious as to how you got your fairways so smooth and flat, but you couldn't get the cart paths to do it. Your fairways have looked very, very smooth so far, unless... Actually, it might very well be that your fairways are just flat. Because with the cart paths, it forces you to go up hills, and with the fairways, you're not really forced too much. That's probably why your fairways look good, because they're just flat. Yeah, there's not a bunch of movement in any of your fairways. It doesn't really look like, as I'm kind of looking around now. I mean, they have a little bit of drop, but compared to your cart path, that's why you're struggling so much with your cart path, because you probably have never really done aggressive slopes like this before. Which I feel like is something as a designer, if you're going to be like designing courses, unless you strictly want to design flat courses, you need to know how to do very steep slopes and make them look smooth. It's not super hard. I think if you just, as I said, if you just watch my slopes video, I think that's what it's called. I talked about it in depth on how to do smooth slopes. It's not hard. It's just something that you have to figure out. This whole designer, everything about this designer, doesn't really teach you much. You got to figure everything out yourself. Again, I like this green. Just feels a little flat, a little bland, as I was kind of saying earlier. I like the little separation between these two greens, though, where you've got this big kind of valley area. But your greens are nothing to complain about. I just feel like stuff is a little too bland out here. Just needs a little bit more. This is something that I suffer from too, is my courses, because a lot of times I do just focus on the course. My courses do end up being a little bland. Now, here's one thing I will say, is because of this bunker styling, I can't really, like, criticize them very much, other than I don't like this bunker placement. Because a lot of bunkering in this game is with the medium or larger size bunkers. It's very hard to get it correct with these slopes and outer edges and everything. With these small bunkers like this, just being in little depressions, there's really nothing you can do to get them wrong. So I feel like it almost is a foolproof style of bunkering. Where, I mean, all you have to do is come in here and lower an area and slap a little bunker in the bottom of it. And then, as you can see, he's got this one other bunker style where he has flat areas that are just almost like a ravine. Now, this green here, nice green. We have a little bowl here, which some people won't like because it holds water, blah, blah, blah. But I don't mind it that much. Looks like you were thinking about putting a bunker over there. Not a bad hole. I mean, I think this is something we're going to run into as we go on. It's going to be like the holes kind of mesh together. They kind of are going to start feeling the same. That's my fear. Don't know that yet. Oh my god, what a shot. But I feel like these holes are going to start blending in with the same thin style of fairway, the same bunkering style. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. I did see some of these green styles where you have these raised push-up style greens. Now, I don't mind it. Really don't. I mean, and we're playing on the back tees as well, so it's really not that bad. This will be a shorter hole for most of the other tees. I don't mind this green. I will say it is my least favorite so far that we've played out here. I don't know, it just feels like it's kind of missing something. Not a bad green, though. Yeah, I feel like almost like you need to be hitting down into this green. Maybe this hole will be a little shorter or something. I don't know. There's something about this hole that just doesn't feel right with tee to green. Like, I feel like this green could do well with a different tee box area. Like maybe up here, raised up above everything would probably be better. I think raised and shorter would make this hole really well. A raised tee box sitting down to a shorter green, like 150. So you're hitting like a 140 club or 130 club down into this hole instead of uphill with a 180. Now, one thing I have to say, this is a nice course. I've played a lot of the design courses come in are okay. This is a nice course. The name does not match up. I haven't seen anything yet, so I can't really say 100%, but the name does not match up to the course. Something you definitely need to take some time and consideration into is naming your course. Tossing it around between a few friends, like, hey, is this a good name for a golf course? Like, that's usually what I do. Is like last time I threw it up to my YouTube to kind of see what people thought was going to be the best name for my course. Just having a good name to a course it just adds that little bit extra. Like, I don't want to be rude, but No Exit is not really a name for a golf course. It's kind of confusing, and despite how cool this course is, it's only got 3 plays. And I think you could do with a lot more plays if the course was named a little bit more appropriately. That's just my 2 cents with it. Back to the course out here. This fairway just doesn't extend far enough. I mean, if I've got a 260 3-wood and I can't make it to the fairway, that's just not right. You usually want to have the start of your fairway being about 230 out from your back tee. Anything further is a little crazy, which I understand. I am playing from the golds, which is like your extended tees out here, but even still, like, I'm probably going to land like right here with this wind. It's just you have to be mindful of the people with these shorter drivers in this game. 'Cause I'm not hitting the shorter drivers. I've got my driver pretty maxed out on distance, and my arch type is woodsman, which isn't bad on power. But somebody who's playing like a putter arch type, something like that, is going to struggle way much harder with hitting some of those greens at that distance. Again, not a bad green. I don't mind it. It just feels a little basic. I mean, you got a little punch bowl, which is really cool. I like the punch bowl. And then it's just a break to left and right. Not a bad green. I would say this one, just because of the fact that the whole fairway is like a punch bowl, and this little bunker, I think this one is a little bit more memorable than the other holes. Oof. That might be in that sand. Yeah, I'll say out of all the bunkers that you've had out here so far, I like this. This one's positioning the most. It is going to make it such a hard chip for anybody trying to get out. Especially if they're coming to this closed pin like I am right now. Bonk, bonk, bonk. What a shot. Alright, what we got here on 8? This needs something. I don't know what. It needs some grass or something. This is just... like, it's just bare. This is what I was talking about with... the course is just kind of bare. It needs some direction. Or not... some decoration, not some direction. It needs some decoration out here. I mean, things are just bland and boring because I feel like you've got huge areas that kind of need grass. I think if you had all these bare areas filled with grass, this place would look awesome. Or something out here, some trees, anything. You just got a lot of empty space out here with nothing. I mean, if you just look at my screen right here and just look at all the empty space I've got, almost on any tee shot, there's a lot of empty space everywhere. And it doesn't help that your fairways are pencil thin like this because it's not really filling up a lot of your screen. So you kind of need to rely on other things around the fairway to fill up the screen. And this hole is, again, kind of the same thing with the cart path. The cart path just needs to be a little smoother. A video on slopes, I'm telling you, help you out with those cart paths a lot. Alright. This is a par 5. Again, it's a par 5 that I feel almost is like set up like a par 4. I mean, while it is kind of long, I just feel like the entirety of the hole is par 4 like mindset. Like there's not really a layup area intended for the player. There's not really a risk-reward shot for the par 5. It's just kind of hit it down the middle, hit it to the green, par 4 style. There's not really a whole bunch going on here. Pink monk. And then this is kind of a little aggressive. How that fairway kind of runs into that green edge right there. Just have it be a little smoother flowing. Oh, we actually got a green with like some tears on it. Bottom tier's really boring. I don't like how a lot of your bunkers have these slopes going away from it. This is something that I've kind of been taught to avoid, is when your player misses and goes in a bunker, you want to have it be possible for them to get par from there. I mean, while yes, it's very possible in this bottom tier, this top tier is going to be very difficult to get a par from just because you're chipping onto a down slope for the most part, unless you perfectly land it right here. Just something to keep in mind. I mean, it's not like you're breaking the Holy Bible by fucking putting a slope right here or whatever, but just something you want to kind of keep in mind. Just as you're designing, you always want it to be possible to get a par. You always want, when you're in a bunker, to be able to get back up onto the green. Yeah, this is what I was saying. It's a little dark out here. You see how dark this whole scenery is? Very, very dark. Almost have to like close my blinds to really be able to see the screen very well. Turn my brightness up. I mean, it's a cool hole, but I mean, for a short par four, I don't really feel like there's a lot of just strategic design in this hole. It's kind of just hit it down here onto the slope and try to get it to the bottom of the hill. I mean, there isn't really a layup area unless you want to lay up like back here. It's kind of, yeah, just hit driver on this hole and get it to the big part of the fairway. Usually you want the thin part of the fairway down at the bottom, like down here, so it makes going for it scary. Right here, going for it is, this is the safe play, is going for it, which usually you don't want that to be the safe play. Green, very basic, not a whole bunch going on here. Usually on short par fours, you want the greens to be some of your more complicated greens on the entire course, just to protect that birdie, because short par fours are the easiest holes to birdie other than short par fives, really. So you want to protect that with a hard green. It's like if someone's hitting a driver and they can drive the short par four, you want to have a couple areas where if you miss it in the wrong area, you may not be getting a par from there. You want those short par fours to bite back if the player doesn't play it correctly. Okay, I just got a bogey there, but that's because I wasn't paying attention. But you want to have areas where a bogey's gonna happen if you miss it. I like this one. I like this little hole. Would like to be landing up here, but I think the blues probably land up here, whereas I don't. Tee boxes, I will say they're fine. I mean, there's nothing special to them. They're just big squares. I feel like they're a little too big. I do like this. I feel like hitting uphill into it isn't really the best for this shape of green, but it's not bad. This green definitely needs something. This is just too flat. And I can see that there's movement going on in here, but it's just kind of uncoordinated movement. It's just kind of there. You can see how there's lines going to come in this way, lines going to come in that way. It's coordinated at least. Way more downhill than it really looks like from up there. I guess it was 7 inches. Get that one on in there. Back over par. Actually, I don't think I've been over par. See, this is kind of what I mean, and this fairway is just kind of pencil thin for no reason. It almost feels like there's no rhyme or reason to any of this movement here. It's just kind of there to be there. Kind of want some reason to have ins and outs and stuff. I mean, this is just kind of a boring fairway right here. And really not super clear areas on where to hit it. It's kind of just hit it into this and hope it sticks, which I bet will never stick because of that slope. I don't mind this bunker. I mean, it's really cool to see. I mean, it's cool to see, but I don't know how much I like it right next to the green like that. It's not bad. It's not my favorite. So we can get that one off the back. And a little chip in. Nope. Super slow. I'm terrible with my timings on my chipping in this game. My chipping timings are always off. Yeah, I'll say I think the fairways need a little bit more character. I mean, they're all just these little pencil thin, basic little fairways. There's not a lot going on to them, not a lot of thought into them, at least for the player. I mean, it's kind of just hit it dead straight every single time. I mean, there's a couple holes with some movement on them, but I mean, for the most part, it's pretty basic. These par fives, they definitely need a little bit more thought into like layup areas and go for areas. Like I mean, it's that same. The whole thing's just a pencil fairway, and it's just kind of hit it as far as you can hit it at the time. It's not really a lot of thought for the player again. I mean, it's a good looking hole. It's clean and it does everything right. It just needs some more design elements into it. Come on, get back there. In the greens, I will say the best thing you have done out here is the greens. There's not much to complain about on the greens at all. They have their pinnable areas. They have good slopes. I will say this little feed-on slopes, these big red feed-on slopes, are a little bit repetitive. We have seen a lot of them, and we're not even done yet. And here's even another one. You have a lot of greens where just one side of the green is just a big red slope, and then there's not really a lot going on in greens. They are flat, which is good, but sometimes they can be too flat. Like I feel like this area, while it is got some movement in, I feel like it's too big to have as little movement, this little character in it as it kind of needs to. It's not a bad green again. I mean, none of the greens have been bad. It's just they have been a little bland, and I don't really like. I'm not a big fan of the huge red areas on greens, honestly. I understand what they're for, but I've never been a big fan of them. Because it makes situations kind of like I'm in right now where you're short-sided, or not short-sided, but you're slope-sided. It makes it so hard a lot of the times to get chips anywhere near the hole. Now, I will say, because your greens are so big and so flat, it's not as bad. Like on any other green where they're smaller or not as flat, I would have been off the green right there. Knocker on it. Ooh, some big fairway movement there. Big old slope. Not a bad hole. I will say you need to have a little bit more thought into your cart path, where it's going and how visual it is. Like if you're gonna have to make such a drastic change to put this huge hill in here and all this stuff, it's probably not worth putting the fairway like that. Or instead of like just thinking a little bit more, like I mean you're blocking so much of my sight line here because you had to put this cart path hill in here. I could have realistically been able to see the green from the tee box, but this big hill with this cart path on is just taking it out. Whereas if you would have maybe brought the cart path either around the other side or maybe on top of this hill up here a little further away, just thinking about some different ideas with the cart path, because I've noticed your cart path has been a little too close to some fairways, creating these big hills, especially on like holes like number one. Number one and I think number two both had huge hills caused by the cart path that kind of impeded play a little bit. Just a little something to keep in mind. I will say out of everything out here, your cart paths definitely need the most work. Cart paths are beautiful and they really do tie a course in together, but having stuff like this over here is just not stuff you want. Like such a big slope right next to the green, or right next to, yeah, basically right next to the green on that hole, just is not really optimal. Little slow. Knock it on in. Yep. I mean, the course is not bad. It's definitely good in terms of just looking good, presenting itself, being a golf course. Just think there needs to be some more decoration, and as I said, a little more thought with some of the whole strategies. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You can do stuff like this when it, like, basically you always want to keep in mind like what happens when somebody's on the other side of this hill putting to a pin. you always want to make sure it's possible. And on this green, it is definitely possible, so this is okay, and this is good. Even acts kind of as a feeder down to this bottom if you mess up and hit it a little short. Very interesting. I think this area kind of suffers from that too big, too flat. Again, like, I mean, this whole top area is flat. I mean, I don't really like how fairway is just dead flat, dead flat, dead flat, green, dead flat, and it's just kind of feeding into there. I like to have a little bit of character in terms of slopes and movements in areas like this, whether that's a plateau green or just some bowls or some knots kind of added in here. Oh, I just realized this is a 286-yard par 3. Very, very cool. It's nice to have some long holes like this every now and again. While some people do have to pull out their drivers here, it is very, very interesting. Yeah, I should have went a little bit less on my power there.
Okay, positive thoughts. Let's save par right here.
Boom. Down to 17. I think this is suffering a little bit too much from that pencil thinness. Fairway's a little anorexic. Yeah, I think this hole just needs a little bit of fat on its body. I wouldn't even have been close anyway. Right in that little bunker. See, this is kind of what I was talking about, where as cool as an idea as these is, I think getting in these bunkers is almost a miracle. Like, I could land anywhere in this bowl, and most likely I'm going to be on the heavy rough surrounding the bunker instead of actually in the bunker like you kind of want it to be. Green, not a bad green. Oop. Got a fairway that actually took me down. Cool. Again, I don't really like the volcano bunkers right next to greens like this, but I've seen it done in real life before, so it's not really something I can complain about. One of the courses I'm working on right now, doing some GPS work for, they have some bunkers that are raised up like that. Like, there's one that is, it's about 20 feet above the green, and it's about 10 foot off of the green. Like, it is unbelievable, and it's just big enough to stand in. One of the craziest bunkers I've ever seen, and it's so tiny. And there's two of them. They're right next to each other. There's two little dot bunkers at the top of the hill. It's actually a really beautiful 18. I like this. Like this big old drop off here. As I said, I don't really like the cart path, but I like the whole plateau feel of the hole. I like this fairway take you down into the water. Like, if you miss the green right, you're most likely dead. I like that idea right there, especially on a hole where you probably can't go for this from the back tees, but the other tees I think you can. And even still, it makes this shorter shot that I have right here a scary shot, because I know if I miss right, I'm dead. Green is a little too flat again. I feel like this is the one thing I will have to say about the greens is I feel like there are some big areas like this that are just too flat. They just need a little bit more movement, a little bit more character into them. Not a lot, just a little bit. Need something more there. Other than that, your greens are phenomenal. I mean, there's not really much to complain about there. Fairways need a little bit more meat on their bone, a little bit more design. As I said, with the bunkers, can't really complain too much about these other than the fact that your balls are going to sit in the heavy rough most of the time. I mean, they look good and they're kind of cool. But I would be curious to see some of your other bunker stylings. If you have any courses like that where you did different styles of bunkers, I'd be very curious to see. Just because bunkering is some of the hardest stuff to do. Other than that, I mean, the only really major red flag on your course is the cart pass. The cart pass just needs some smoothing work. I mean, the routing isn't terrible. I mean, you've got some big slopes like this, which need to be cut out, need to be taken out somehow. But other than that, the course is beautiful. I mean, it's a nice course. It plays good. Maybe a little bit more on the decoration side, as I was saying. Like this big hill right here, this big hill was full of grass or something like that, instead of just being this bare area where you removed all the heavy rough. And just some little decorations around the course, I think, would do the course very nice. Just because some of the holes, like, I'm looking at this. This is just such a big empty area, and there's so many holes like this where it's just humongous empty areas with nothing in it. I mean, overall, you've definitely got a great foundation on your design. Uh, you've got all the pieces here. You just have to put them all together, and I think you could have some really, really phenomenal courses.
Drop the putt. Finish round.
And actually, this course was, I mean, I wasn't trying 100%, but this was a fairly difficult course. I was playing at 8,000 yards.
Okay, and as we head our separate
Pretty
ways,
hard for how simple looking it is.
done.
Other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching. If you want me to play one of your courses, just drop the name of the course down in the comments, and I'll be trying to get around to them here soon. This should be the last video. I should be uploading 3 at a time here the next day or so. But for you guys, it'll be 2 day. But yeah, I'll be trying to get around recording some more videos. I've got some ideas for some things I want to teach people. I'm also it was actually Char. Is it Claire's Boys? I think that's how you say the name of the creator here. But he was talking in one of my comment sections, and it kind of brought out the idea of doing Twitch streams where I stream the courses I'm working on, which is something I think I'm going to start doing. I think I'm going to start streaming anytime I do open up to start editing my courses. I think I'm just going to stream and just go live. I think I'm going to do it on YouTube, just because the majority of you guys are on YouTube. I don't really have too big of a Twitch following. Never really did. So I'm just going to live stream on YouTube. Never done it before, so I'm going to try to figure that out. But I'll try to live stream every single time I hop on my course to edit, whether that's for 30 minutes or 2 hours. Just to kind of show you guys my thought process and how I go through things. I think that'd be really cool. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Later.